Well, hey, everybody, it's Mike from Profiling Evil. Kind of an interesting day. The jury is out, and we're awaiting this trial to kick over on and get going. So, we're going to just run this broadcast and we're going to wait and watch this thing unfold. So, thanks for joining us. We'll see who happens to join in. This says that it was going to begin 5 minutes ago. It's still sitting on pause, so we'll check in periodically and see what's going on. But it's good to see so many of you starting to pile in already. I have a Hawkshaw, Aurora Knight, the Dyson's Crazy Adventure here, Jamborell, Welder Princess. So I don't know if you got anything you want to chat about, or we can try to talk to that until this thing comes on live. We're sitting on hold. In fact, I'll just put this in the corner so we can kind of stand by and be ready for when it fires up. A couple of interesting things that have been going on. I'd like to see your comments about the closing arguments. Well, in fact, let's step back a stage and get your comments about Lori Vallow Daybell choosing to not put on a defense. That certainly didn't fly, and be interesting to see what you have to say here. And we'll look for some answers on that as you come in. I just got home from Europe and thought, what the heck? Let's jump on together, especially seeing this popped up. I'll be live tonight on Court TV with Vinnie Politan, and we'll be talking about the verdict and the case in general. Made a few appearances while I've been in Europe, and it was kind of crazy, usually 2 o'clock in the morning when I was getting on to do Court TV, so I tried not to do too many of them so that I could enjoy my time off while I was there. Went over, started in Scotland, went to Ireland and Wales, and ended up in England on the day of the coronation. So been a busy couple of weeks in the UK, but it was great to be there. Well, let's see if there's some comments here as we're waiting for this thing to get started, and hopefully it'll get going. It said it was going to start at 12:45. So let's see. First question I want to ask again, now that we've got a few of you piling in here, is how did you feel about Lori Vallow Daybell choosing not to put on a defense? It would be interesting to see your comments on that. Let's just go through and see what you have to say about this. Or looks like most of you are just chatting back and forth with each other. Here's an interesting question, though. Sarah says, I missed why Lori doesn't face the death penalty. The prosecution pulled it off the table. There were actually some challenges. I think that they were a little concerned the challenges could have led to some problems for them in the fact that there were some discovery challenges. They hadn't given the information. Hey, it looks like we're going to get rolling here. So let's just pop right into this full screen. I hope they show us a lot bigger view of this thing than what we're seeing right now. There, that's much better. Now you're getting a look at that tiny little courtroom. You can see why it's been so difficult. The bottom, we see Archibald, the defense table. Lori hasn't been brought in yet. Looks like, oh, maybe she's walking in now. There you go. Be interested in what your comments are. She's wearing all black today. What do you think of that? The reason she doesn't face the death penalty, discovery challenges, could have brought the case back. I think the prosecution just figured, let's not risk anything. And frankly, if she sits on in prison the rest of her mortal life, then they figure that will be enough. So hopefully that helps passes. I hope she gets in really bad trouble. I think she's already in really bad trouble, Pat. Interesting the way they've positioned with that big window there. You can't see Lori's face, and I wonder if they did that on purpose. Looks like they're trying to lighten up the camera a little bit. I don't know. It's kind of odd, isn't it? And then if you look up on the other side, the prosecution, Lindsay Blake and Rob Wood. And of course, on the far right, you're going to see the judge as he does his thing. Let's see if you got any questions while we're waiting here. Beth says hello from Ohio. Hey, make sure you join me tonight on Court TV, folks. I'll be joining Vinnie Politan. I think it'll be about 8:15 Eastern time. We'll be talking about the case a little more, and we'll hopefully have some interesting things to chat about. I was actually going to try to prepare a video. I'll share a little bit of video maybe later from I was in the Cotswolds and did a court TV event. Had a beautiful little setting with a nice fire behind me. Well, let's get going. So let's just go full blast with it.
Thank you. Please be seated. All right, good afternoon, everyone. We are going on the record. Madam Court Reporter, are you ready?
Yes.
All right, thank you. This is case CR 22-21-1624, State of Idaho versus Lori Vallow. The matter before the court today is for a verdict in the jury trial that's been conducted over the last several weeks in this case. The court will note on the record, prosecution is here represented by Mr. Wood, Ms. Blake, and Ms. Smith. The defense, Mr. Archibald, Mr. Thomas are present, as well as the defendant who is present. The court's been advised that the jury has reached a verdict at this time. Is the state ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is the defense ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very well. Let's have the jurors brought in, please. While the jurors are being brought in, I'd like to indicate that this matter is being live streamed on the court's YouTube channel. In addition, the court's existing conduct order is in effect, and everyone needs to comply with that conduct order. This verdict has several counts. The court is going to require that all in attendance abstain from any sort of loud outbursts or sounds that could in any way affect the proceedings in this matter as the counts are read in the verdict. And I expect to maintain order and decorum as has been the case throughout this trial with those in attendance. So please keep that in mind once we get to this stage of these proceedings. So with that in mind, if the jurors are ready, they can be seated.
All right, please. Jury's all present, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bailiff. Please be seated. All right, the court will note that we had alternate jurors that were excused upon deliberations. So now the remaining 12 jurors who have deliberated are here and appear to all be properly seated. Will counsel stipulate that the jury is all present and properly seated from the state?
Yes, Your Honor.
Will the defense will stipulate?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, at this time, the court will inquire then from the jury. Has the jury reached a verdict?
Yeah.
Very well. If you have the verdict form, I'd ask the bailiff bring that over here and we'll have it brought to the clerk to be read. All right, the court has reviewed the verdict form, find that it's been properly completed, signed and dated. So at this time, I'll direct the clerk to please read the verdict into the record. The defendant would please rise.
In the District Court of the 7th Judicial District of the State of Idaho, in and for the County of Fremont, State of Idaho plaintiff versus Lori Vallow, aka Lori Daybell, defendant, case number CR 22211624. Verdict. We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn to try the above entitled action for our verdict, unanimously answer the questions submitted to us as follows. Question number 1. In regards to count 1 of the amended indictment, is Lori Vallow not guilty or guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder of Tylee Ryan and grand theft by deception? Answer, guilty. Question number 2. In regards to count 2 of the amended indictment, is Lori Vallow not guilty or guilty of first-degree murder of Tylee Ryan? Answer, guilty. Question number 3. In regards to count 3 of the amended indictment, is Lori Vallow not guilty or guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder of Joshua Jackson Vallow and grand theft by deception? Answer, guilty. Question number 4. In regards to count 4, the amended indictment, is Lori Vallow not guilty or guilty of first-degree murder of Joshua Jackson Vallow? Answer, guilty. Question number 5. In regards to count 5 of the amended indictment, is Lori Vallow not guilty or guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder of Tammy Daybell? Answer, guilty. Question number 6. In regards to count 7 of the amended indictment, is Lori Vallow not guilty or guilty of grand theft? Answer, guilty. Dated this 12th day of May, 2023, signed by the presiding officer.
All right, please be seated. Madam Clerk, thank you for reading the verdict into the record. At this time, let me just inquire of the jury, is this in fact your true and correct verdict?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Let me ask now from counsel, does the state wish to have the jury polled?
We do not, Your Honor.
Does the defense wish to have the jury polled?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, the jury will be polled at this time. Madam Clerk, if you would please indicate only by juror numbers of each of the jurors if this is their true and correct verdict individually.
Juror number 4, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 5, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 6, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 8, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 9, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 10, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 11, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 12, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 13, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 14, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 15, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 16, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. The court does find it's a unanimous verdict in this case, so I will direct the clerk to record the verdict into the record of this case. I'll now have a closing jury instruction for our jurors and also those alternate jurors that are in attendance today. You have now completed your duties as jurors in this case and are discharged with the sincere thanks of this court. The question may arise as to whether you may discuss this case with the attorneys or with anyone else. For your guidance, the court instructs you that whether you talk to the attorneys or to anyone else is entirely your own decision. It is proper for you if you want to, but you are not required to do so, and you may choose not to discuss the case with anyone at all. If you choose to talk to someone about the case, you may tell them as much or little as you like about your deliberations or the facts that influenced your decision. If you decide to discuss the case with anyone, you should be careful to respect the privacy and feelings of your fellow jurors. You should limit your comments to your own perceptions and feelings. If anyone persists in discussing the case over your objections or becomes critical of your service either before or after any discussion has begun, please report that to me. At this time, then, the court offers its sincere thanks to the jurors. I appreciate your patience and attentiveness throughout this lengthy trial. I also thank you again for upholding your important civic duty as jurors in this case. I'd also like to thank the attorneys who tried this case for your professionalism throughout the proceedings and in the pretrial motions that came before trial. At this time, then, the court will discuss briefly sentencing in this case. In Idaho, pursuant to Title 19, Chapter 25, a report is required to be prepared before sentencing called a pre-sentence investigation report. In a typical case, that report takes at least 2 months to prepare. In a case such as this, it will likely take longer. The court will inquire as to a pre-sentence investigator for the time frame required to prepare the report in this case. Upon getting an estimation, then the court will reach out to counsel for determining a date for sentencing. I'll just advise everyone that will likely be, I'm thinking, at least 3 months probably before that sentencing can be scheduled to have the report completed. The court will also advise at this time then, upon conclusion of the proceedings, the defendant will be remanded back to custody of the Ada County Sheriff at this time to be transferred to the Fremont County Sheriff for further proceedings in Fremont County for sentencing. The court will also instruct the clerk to collect any of the jurors' notes pursuant to Idaho Criminal Rule 24.1A. At this time, then, the court will ask that the jurors and any alternates in attendance be excused from the courtroom. And I am going to direct that all in attendance here remain seated until such time as the jurors have been completely exited from the courtroom. And in addition, I'll let the jurors know there is additional information you'll be receiving through the court administration offices on your way out as you leave today. So again, thank you for your service. Court will be adjourned. And Mr. Bailiff, if you could have all rise for the jury.
All rise, please.
Well, there you go, folks. We'll watch them as they feed out of the building here and chat for just a moment, and then we'll call it a day. There you go. Guilty on every count. This is going to be interesting to see now what happens with Charles Vallow's homicide.
All right, thank you, counsel. Thank you, everyone, for your decorum this afternoon. Court is adjourned.
So as the court is adjourned, we'll see people heading out. We'll just peel that thing off and maybe just chat for just a moment or two. So yeah, next thing, what is Arizona going to do on the Charles Vallow case? And will they, in fact, charge her? All indications are they will, and I can't imagine as they've seen now all counts that they won't go after her for Charles' death as well. Some of you wondered if she'd be able to be found guilty on Tammy Daybell's homicide, and there we saw that. So yeah, prosecution knocked it out of the park. I thought the defense did a great job. I think against Lori's wishes yesterday in their closing arguments when they threw Chad under the bus, and I think she was not real happy about that. But I think it was the only thing that the defense could do at that time in order to try to get some doubt cast into people's minds. So the big question is, what's going to happen to Chad Daybell? And I've said from the very beginning that I believe Chad will attempt to do a plea negotiation to avoid the death penalty, that he'll try to get a life without parole. That would be awesome if he was granted that in exchange for full disclosure of everything and how it worked. But on the other side, the prosecution may want a heavier pound of flesh, and they may say, we're not going to accept that plea, and we want the death sentence. It's interesting. This morning, I chatted with a family who recently lost someone in a horrible situation, and they said, I think I'd rather have the individual get life without parole than the death sentence, because every couple of years when that death sentence comes up for another appeal, the family has to relive it instead of just kind of getting on with life in the best way possible. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? But not going to take a whole lot of time to wrap this up. In fact, perfect time to stop. Make sure you check me out tonight on Court TV. We'll be talking about the case more. I might stick a couple of video clips in the next couple of days on some more cult behavior discussions that I had on Court TV. And then we'll start ramping up for Chad Daybell in June of 2024. So a year before that thing happens, if it happens. And that's going to be really interesting to see if in fact that happens. I think that's going to be interesting to see if any of the jurors share their comments. And of course, a little later, I'm sure we'll be able to hear from the Woodcocks and Annie, and we'll see how they responded to what happened today. So let me just look here and see if there are any quick questions. And if not, we're going to give you back your afternoon. So hey, Terry Dean, this is so kind of you to say. Thanks for giving us a safe and sane place. I try to give kind of a balanced place anyway. Yeah, any updates on the West trial? Yeah, this one is getting down to the wire too. And it'll be interesting to see how that comes out. A no-body case kind of makes you think of other cases in recent time that we've looked at. So I don't know what may or may not happen here. Lots of comments from a lot of you. Wendy, so relieved she's found guilty. Karen, life in prison as a transient being. Oh, let's see. Partial justice has been reached. Next, Chad, here's a good one. Thinking of Colby. Yeah, that kid has had his life twisted around. Hey, Inger, I don't know where you are in Norway, but love my visits to Norway, and I'm one of the few who have sat on the ledges of Preikestolen, so that I love that area and the fjords, and what a great place you come from. Thanks for being with us. Let's see, Grandma 212 said she gave up a little girl hairdo today. Now she can get her thrown in the jail cell. Let's see. I look so happy, Rodette. Maybe I'm just a little relaxed after sitting on an airplane for 11 hours to fly back home. Who knows? We'll see, but thanks. Let's see. Gary, life without parole doesn't mean life in prison. I'm not sure quite what you mean by that, Gary, but that's an interesting comment. Appreciate your channel. Hey, yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate you guys all for subscribing. Please hit the subscribe button and do all that magic so that we get some benefit out of this. Mike, you know all about crazy religious beliefs. Yeah. Isn't that something? You spend your career looking at ritual crime, and it's been an interesting time to look at this particular case. Let's see. Opportunities for appeal? Absolutely. Always something that they can come back and argue, and yet I think they ran it pretty cleanly. The judge, against all of our wishes, kept it as clean as possible. In fact, not being able to watch it may have alleviated some. And that, that's been another interesting question, is why on earth did he push so hard on this one? I don't think on Chad that we're going to be excluded from the court. I think that knowing that there was a companion case that was going to come out, that he had to do everything he could to protect Chad and the right to get a jury for Chad. And if this thing had been broadcast in the courtroom, and if we were seeing pictures and everything else, it would be even that much harder to find a jury. So it'll be interesting. So Haptic Frequency says prosecution is not offering any deals. I don't know. We're not there yet. They've already said they have more evidence against him than Lori. Yeah, the question becomes, is anything really served by taking the death penalty over life without possibility of parole and saving the county and the state millions of dollars, saving the families having to endure this again and have it displayed in public? Those are the things that really become important in the decision about the prosecution. And usually the prosecution sits with the family and talks through this process of someone saying they want to cop a plea, and the family then has the opportunity to weigh in on that. And the family may not want a plea, so it'll be interesting. They've bore the burden of this already. So yeah. And Pillam, did I get that right? Pillam 78. Yeah, Letitia Stock, guilty. This one, we'll see what happens in the West case. I don't know. There are more than 144,000 folks in prison. That's that's funny. Oh no, here we go. Christine, yeah, lives there, Preichstol. That's I'll tell you what, that is, folks, if you ever want, I'm a fat old guy, but I'll tell you what, it took everything I had to hike up to the top of Preichstol and then go out, and then it takes everything you've got emotionally to sit on the edge and eat a little breakfast sandwich, which is kind of like it's a little cracker that kind of was like a Fig Newton with some strawberry jam on it. But to sit out there and watch the sunrise, it was pretty amazing. So anyway, thanks for dialing in from Norway. And let's see. Yeah, Blank says, hey, cut the lock. Marine says, life without parole means life without parole. Okay. Well, there you go. Nancy Dreher from Germany. Guten Tag. Let's see. Thanks for your contribution. Well, thank you. That's very kind. Let's see. Debbie, would you testify about your expertise as a subject matter on cults if the prosecution asks? Well, I've testified a number of times, although, oh yeah, I'm sure I would. Heck, that's you can't spend your career doing it and then just say, no, I'm not going to help out, I guess. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see if we're going to get any kind of response from her, from Lori Daybell. Carly is saying, hey, why is Chad's trial not until June of 24? Now, not sure why, other than calendars fill up, and this one's taken a lot of time off the calendar, and Chad has already said he's not in any hurry. Boy, don't you feel bad for his children? They not only lost their mom, but they lost their dad, and they're just doing everything they can to try to hold it together. Thank you for that very kind super sticker, Louisa. That is very nice of you. Really appreciate that. And folks, if you have a purchase deceived, you can see it kind of right here over my shoulder. My book, Deceived, is about my investigation into a ritual cult that was sexually abusing children. We used 70 police officers on the day that we made the arrest and broke that group down. And 30 years later, the victims in that case asked me to write the book. And so I wrote Deceived, actually at the encouragement of Dr. Phil. And all of the proceeds from that are going to build a new children's advocacy center that's going to be breaking ground in the next couple of months, probably about August or so. And we'll probably try to do something live on the night of the groundbreaking. But you can read about Deceived and know that you're not padding my pockets, that we're sending it to help little children who have been sexually assaulted to get the help they need. So there you go, folks. Thanks so much. And I'm going to end with Ada. Thanks for your channel. That's very kind of you to say. And I did enjoy my time in the UK. Folks, to all of you, thanks for your support of Profiling Evil. And please share us